So this is a yew tree, and its Latin name is Taxus baccata, and they're really, really old, or they can become very old. Normally, a few hundred years old. A tree this big, I mean, this is just in my garden, but a tree this big, I've got no idea, but I'm guessing it's at least a few hundred years old. It's pretty big, and they commonly go to like 2,500 years old. I think the oldest one is in Scotland, and it's estimated to be at least 5,000 years old, and it's still going strong. Now the yew tree is widely understood to be completely poisonous, deadly poisonous in fact. It has a very lethal alkaloid in it called taxane, and it's in absolutely every single part of the tree. It's in the bark, in the leaves, and in the seeds. Now these red berry-like fruits that you see on the tree here, they're not actually berries, they're called arils, and the arils surround the seeds. Now the arils themselves are not actually poisonous, and you can eat them. They're actually a superfood really for the temperate climates from autumn through winter. The berries are normally on the trees for about 3 months, so you can consume them, but you have to make sure that you pop the seed out first, because it is deadly poisonous. I mean, 2 seeds can pretty much kill a horse. We human beings have a bit of a higher tolerance to taxane than that, but still, I mean, it's still a very, very risky thing to be ingesting any other part of this plant at all. Taxane is extremely fast acting in the sense that it causes heart failure really, really quickly in animals and in people. So there's really not a lot that can be done about it once you've consumed it to lethal levels, which really doesn't take an awful lot at all. So there isn't really any antidote for it, so it's definitely important to not go near the bark, the leaves, the sap of the tree, the seeds, really anything but the bright red arils surrounding the seeds. Now they are really quite high in vitamin C, they're really, really high in antioxidants, and so they do make really rich source of nutrients in the wintertime in the temperate zones. Now, people have really been consuming these for like hundreds of years or millennia, really. There's a lot of people alive today, old people that have been eating these their whole lives. Whenever they're in season, they eat them by the bucket load, and they're totally healthy, never had any adverse effects. So, I mean, it's more contemporary thinking that because these berries are on the tree for 3 months, from autumn through until winter, that the older they get and the more mature they get, when they're at their kind of latter stages of development, that perhaps they start absorbing some of the taxane and some of the other harmful alkaloids from the seeds. But I mean, I've heard that. I don't know if there's any scientific basis in that. I haven't really seen any concrete studies to really suggest that. So it's also quite commonly said that children shouldn't consume them either, simply because they have less of a tolerance to be able to handle taxane. But again, the red arils surrounding the seeds just don't contain it. So I mean, I would say anything's possible. I really don't know the truth about whether or not these berries would absorb any of the alkaloids in their later stages of development. So if there's any doubt, either don't consume them or just consume them in moderate amounts. But this is really a superfood that's been included in the seasonal wild food diet of people in temperate regions for just such a long time. Sometimes the seeds actually pop out really easily from these. You just have to give the berry a little squeeze and it comes out. Other times it's not so easy, and they do get a little bit messy. Yeah, this one's going to get a bit messy because they're actually really quite slimy. And once you burst the aril, its juice tends to go everywhere. So anyway, I don't know if you can see all the sliminess. So here, I've got a bit of the aril here on my finger. So They're really, really tasty. They taste a lot like raspberry, but much, much sweeter than raspberry. And they're not always so messy to eat. Some of them that I just ate outside, the seeds just popped out really easily, so it was just a whole... The aril was whole, so it basically looked like a whole berry. But yeah, they're really, really delicious. So are yew berries really as deadly poisonous as they're claimed to be? Well, no, it's really a distortion of the facts. As I've said in this video, the aril itself, which is the red, juicy, berry-like component to this fruit here, is actually very nutritious, and the dark green seed inside it, definitely avoid that at all costs. You must get that out. Now, some people put the whole aril in their mouth and they spit the seed out. You know, you can do that. Lots of people have been doing that their whole lives and never had any adverse effects from it. Some people are not really, you know, comfortable with having the seed even in their mouth, so, you know, that's fair enough. Whatever you feel comfortable with, really, but, you know, this is really not the life-threatening, toxic wild berry that it's been claimed to be at all.